XZ1 compact against the iPhone X. Going to be an excellent matchup, guys, and let's get right to it. Now, both of these phones, amazing quality cameras and speakers on them. Definitely some of the best on the market. And the Sony is a very strong contender for fastest phone of the year. Now, the iPhone is the first one to boot up, currently on iOS 11. And the Sony app as well, that's an Android 8 Oreo. So next up, we're going to go over the specs. On the Sony, 4.6-inch screen, 424 pixels per inch. And on the iPhone, 5.8-inch screen, 458 pixels per inch. On the front, you have a 13 megapixel camera on the Sony and a 7 on the iPhone. And on the back on the Sony, you have one camera 19MP. And on the iPhone, you have two cameras, both of them are 12MP. And of course, front and rear facing camera comparisons coming later in the video. The Sony has 32GB internal storage, on the iPhone you have 64 to 56, and on the Sony you do have micro SD card support, on the iPhone you don't. The iPhone just barely beats the Sony in battery size at 2716 versus 2700. On the Sony you have the Snapdragon 35 and 4GB RAM, and the iPhone you have the A11 chipset and 3GB RAM. Both phones are waterproof with the Sony at a slightly higher certification. On the Sony you have USB Type-C, and on the iPhone a Lightning port. And on the Sony, you do have a headphone jack, on the iPhone you don't. On the back, the iPhone is definitely better quality with an all-glass back, whereas the Sony's made of plastic. But on the Sony, you do have a fingerprint scanner right here on the side, whereas on the iPhone, no fingerprint scanner on it. And finally, the iPhone costs about twice as much money as the XZ1 compact. So let's go over the rest of the test now. So we have everything closed out on both. Next up, apps and games. First up, we have NBC. Advanced here for the Sony. Spotify. Sony. YouTube. Once again, the Sony here. eBay. Once again, the Sony. iFunny next. Sony. And we do have a different thing up here for the iFunny, but looks like that's just some type of an ad here. Alright, so next up we have Amazon Shopping. Yet again, guys, you have the Sony here. Now the iPhone will be more competitive with photos and also with the games. As you guys see, photos going to the iPhone. The iPhone always does very well with the games. Generally wins anywhere from 1 to 4 of the games. This first one going to the iPhone. So we have the Snapdragon 35 versus A11 chipset. Subway Surfers next. And again, we have the iPhone here. So let's see if the Sony can make a comeback. Super Mario Run next. Sony. Oops. Didn't mean to start it up, guys. Okay, and last up we have Asphalt 8, but then a lot more stuff throughout the video. And this one going to the Sony. So the games are tied going 2-2 there. And taking a look at AnTuTu next. As you guys see, higher score on the iPhone, but AnTuTu is better optimized for iOS and Android. So next up we have Chrome versus Safari. 4 different sites, and first up is IGN. And advanced here for the Sony. And next will be a IMDb. Again, we have the Sony here. A couple more, we have Sony and Apple. Sony taking this one as well. And last we have Apple. This one going to the iPhone, but overall going to the Sony. Rock Angels, no copyright. So next up we have speaker comparison. So both of these phones have excellent quality dual speakers on them. And first up we have the Sony. And now the iPhone. Back to Sony. So the iPhone clearly does get louder, although I do prefer the quality on the Sony. And one more time on each. Last time here. So next up we have a fingerprint scanner test, and again guys, there is no fingerprint scanner on the iPhone, so instead we're going to use Face ID for that. And on the Sony it's right here on the side. Now the Sony also has a face unlock, but it really makes no sense to use because you have to turn on the screen first, and when you're doing that you're pressing the fingerprint scanner here on the side. So in terms of efficiency this makes no sense at all. So instead I'm going to use the fingerprint scanner on the Sony and Face ID on the iPhone. So overall, I think a bit faster overall on the Sony. And also, I do much prefer using fingerprint scanner and Face ID. So next we have multitasking, and first we have eBay. And this is going to the iPhone. iFunny next. And advanced here for the Sony. Temple Run 2 next. And advanced for the Sony did show a picture first on the iPhone. Asphalt 8. And I think that was advanced Sony as well. I think a picture there on the iPhone. Spotify. Advanced here for the Sony. Amazon Shopping. And refresh on the Sony, so this one advanced for the iPhone. NBC. So refresh on the Sony and now refresh on the iPhone. So that one going to the Sony. Subway Surfers. And last we have Gallery versus Photos. So pretty close there, I think advanced for the Sony. So overall guys, I'd say multitasking is quite advanced for the Sony. Camera speed next. So let's turn off wide photos on the iPhone. So overall the iPhone a bit faster, but sometimes the Sony. And now for this a brief comparison of front-facing cameras. And test out the image stabilization. And now for this a brief comparison of front-facing cameras. And test out the image stabilization. And look at the rear-facing cameras. And test out the stabilization. And then there's a look at the maximum zoom on both. So in my opinion, the biggest advantage by far of the iPhone X over the Sony Xperia XZ1 Compact is what you see on the outside. No doubt much better quality here on the iPhone X. Also the screen is better as well. But in terms of internals, in terms of the cameras, the Sony is just as good if not better. And you also have fingerprint scanner, you have micro SD card support, you have a headphone jack, and in my opinion, much better battery life on the Sony Xperia XZ1 Compact as well. So since the Sony is less than half the price, really amazing job here by the XZ1 Compact. Now if you guys liked the video and want to see more like it, press the button below there, subscribe. The XZ1 Compact is a very strong contender for fastest phone of the year, but still a lot of comparisons to do. Got a video right there on top left or top right for you guys to check out. And as always, thanks for watching.